Thank you all for joining our 7th Thai-Belgian Business Forum. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to have so many people joining us today for this gathering that has become the annual event for the Thai-Belgian business relations. My name is Siep Hoostra, and I'm the consultant for the Board of Investment Thailand for the Benelux, and I will be your moderator today. Last year, around the same time, we had planned the Thai-Belgian Business Forum. The room was booked, the save the date mail had gone out, and the first registrations had come in, when all of a sudden we heard about this virus. And as so many other things, we had to cancel the event at the last minute. The Thai delegation couldn't fly from Thailand, and everybody was stuck at home. We all had hoped that we just could postpone, but now, 1 year later, most of us are still working from home. In any case, here in Belgium. I know that Thailand has been much less impacted and has been able to contain the situation much better than here in Europe. I'm sure that we will hear more about this later during this webinar. So, unfortunately, last year, no Thai-Belgian Business Forum, but we wanted to continue the relations that have been built over so many years. And during the last year, a lot of people and businesses have reinvented themselves and found new ways of doing business, new markets, new products, new ideas. And to keep these relations growing, despite restrictions with travel and other barriers, we are very happy that we can again organize the 7th Thai-Belgian Business Forum. This year, it's a virtual event, which on one hand is a shame, of course, because we would like to see and meet each other in person again. But on the other hand, it gives us the opportunity to have attendees also from Thailand and from all over the world. And I'm very happy to see that indeed we have a large group of attendees from Thailand and other countries. Welcome to you all. Before we start, there are just a few points of order. At this seminar, your microphones and videos are muted. As we are conscious of time, there will be no question and answer this year, but feel free to send us your questions via the Q&A button down at your screen. We will make sure that your questions are answered at a later stage after the webinar. And you can, of course, also always contact us by email or telephone. All the presentations will be made available to the audience, for which you will receive a link after the webinar. I will now take you quickly through the agenda for today and then introduce the first speaker. So, as you can see, we have some excellent speakers today that will give us a better insight in the developments on the Thai economy and the impact of COVID, not only on Thailand, but also on ASEAN. Besides the experts from Thailand, we're very happy that we also have Belu Thai, the Belgian-Luxembourg Thai Chamber of Commerce, that will lead a company forum with 4 Belgian companies that are already operating in Thailand. They will give us their view and experience on the past period, but also on what the future could look like. First, we would like to start with a short welcome by both the Royal Belgian Embassy in Bangkok and the Royal Thai Embassy in Brussels. First, I would like to introduce Her Excellency Mrs. Sybille de Cartier, the Belgian Ambassador to Thailand. Mrs. de Cartier has only recently started her post in Bangkok after having been the Belgian Ambassador to Egypt before. She arrived in the summer of 2020 in Thailand in full COVID time, and has therefore seen the difference between the COVID situation in Thailand and in Belgium, and even maybe in Egypt. I would like to invite Mrs. Descartier. I will ask her to...
Thank you very much, and good morning in Brussels and good afternoon in Thailand to all. I want to thank BOI, and in particular BOI in Brussels, for this timely initiative and for the partnership in general. I think it's important for Belgium to underline the importance of Thailand as a hub for the Belgian enterprises in the region. With hundreds of million euro investments, or Belgian enterprises are present, and you will hear some of them today. BOI plays an important role in that context as a reliable partner, a first entry door for enterprise, and an important coordinator for the policies with the Guichet Unique policy. We are thankful for the positive cooperation with BOI, but also with the Thailand authorities in general. And we look forward to strengthen it and continue discussing with all the authorities to ensure a smooth process for our enterprise and a level playing context that will encourage investments. And as you just said, I'm newly arrived, and I will really strive and do all my utmost to reach that direction. Post-COVID context gives us an opportunity for new initiatives to ensure sustainability. In that context, Belgium is happy to look at avenues to strengthen cooperation with a particular attention for digital technology. Fintech, agrotech, artificial intelligence are one of the few sectors where we have important and useful knowledge to share. As a leader in the pharmaceutical sector and supporter of the COVAX mechanism, Belgium has played an important role in the vaccine production and distribution. Belgium is also a leading player with regard to research and development of medicines. Belgium also acts as an important international hub for distribution and logistics, with Thailand that has recently announced the arrival of Johnson & Johnson vaccine very soon. We will have a direct link there. The crisis has underlined the importance of the development of e-health, a better work on prevention, and the importance of silver economy. These are all domains where Belgian enterprise can play a role to support the transformation in Thailand, and where we can work fruitfully together. The COVID cannot let us forget the importance of the climate change challenges, but also the opportunity it offers to work differently and more sustainably. And our enterprise can offer technology that can support the transition in various ways, such as increased energy efficiency, the development of the use of renewable energy, the transformation into a more circular economy, the green chemistry, or a more sustainable agriculture production, and a better waste, water, and soil management. In that context, I'm happy to introduce for you, and it's a primeur, it's the first time we're going to show this video, a video that we recently published, organized with our colleagues in the region, with a focus of what Belgium is doing and can do in the Southeast Asia region. So I will finish there. I thank you very much, and I wish us all a fruitful meeting. And I'm really looking forward to strengthen the partnership between our countries.
We are living in times of unprecedented change, with new solutions for a better world. With strength, ingenuity, and most importantly, cooperation. For sustainability and opportunity. In Belgium, we are committed to ensuring that this future is for everyone. And here is how Belgian partners make this future real in Thailand. Our experts are helping bio-innovators scale up their ideas, innovating solutions for new demands. Through our experience in renewables, we are making the grid ready to support clean energy, engineering solar power for cleaner energy, even turning bio-waste into fuel for a renewable future, and recycling valuable materials and minerals, making sure nothing goes to waste.
Together with our partners in Southeast Asia for a cleaner and more sustainable world.
Thank you, Mr. Cartier. Thank you very much. I'll just have to. Thank you very much for this and for giving us the premiere for this movie. Fantastic. Now going to the Thai embassy. As some of you know, the new Thai ambassador, His Excellency Mr. Sek Wanamati, will be starting his post shortly and is actually flying today from Thailand to Europe. Understandingly, therefore, he was not able to attend himself, but we are very honored to have Minister Sirilak Niyom, the Deputy Head of Mission to Europe at the Royal Thai Embassy in Brussels, to participate today. Thank you very much for taking the time and to give a welcome note. I will ask you to.
Yes, good morning. Your Excellency Ambassadors CB, Cartier, distinguished panelists and all participants, and good morning from Brussels. On behalf of the Royal Thai Embassy in Belgium, it is my great pleasure to also welcome you all to the 7th Thai-Belgian Business Forum, Think Resilience, Think Thailand. And first, I wish to thank the Thailand Board of Investment for organizing this webinar, which I think that this event is very timely as many countries are trying to emerge from the COVID-19 crisis and seek to stimulate a recovery in economic growth. Today's event is a chance to find that opportunities by exchanging views on how Thailand and Belgium can enhance cooperation and encourage investment among our business in sectors with potential in the post-COVID-19 era. And while the pandemic is not over and its economic impact is still being felt, the Thai economy is gradually improving and is expected to expand 2.5 to 3.5% in 2001. And moreover, with Thailand's effective disease control measures, strong medical and agricultural sector, and strategic location in the heart of ASEAN, with an ever-growing logistical connectivity, Thailand remains an attractive place and investment destination, as evidently shown by several rankings. For example, Thailand is ranked the first in emerging markets list 2001 by Bloomberg, the first in best countries to start a business 2020, and the second in best country to invest 2020 by US News. Digital 2001 report also ranks Thailand as the first in e-banking and e-financing service through application use, and the second in e-commerce through mobile. So this is for just examples. And indeed, through Thailand 4.0 strategy, we aim to transform the country's economy into one that is driven by technology and innovation. The Eastern Economic Corridor, or EEC, is at the core of this strategy and promotes investment in targeted value-based industries. At present, we heard that there are around 6 Belgian businesses investing in the EEC, and this is a good base for our cooperation, and we certainly wish to encourage and welcome even more Belgian investors to the EEC. And in terms of industry that Thailand wishes to concentrate its cooperation with Belgium, there are 3 sectors, namely health and well-being, including areas of pharmaceuticals and vaccine, where Belgium is a leader, both in terms of export and R&D, which is as also mentioned by Ambassador Sibin. And the second is a smart logistics, and the third is digital technologies, including knowledge exchange on development of science parks, where Belgium's many science parks may serve as a model for Thailand science park, with the aim of driving digital transformation. And I'm glad to hear Ambassador Sibin say that the Belgium will help Thailand in this area. And in addition to being technologies and innovation-driven economy, the Thai government has also recently made the Biocircular Green Economy, or the BCG model, the national agenda as the national agenda. So it is be our main strategy for economic recovery and development after the pandemic and beyond. We also welcome Belgium's cooperation in this area. And last but not least, on its part, the Royal Thai Embassy in Brussels has also worked to help promote economic cooperation between our 2 countries through various activities, including the first is organizing a seminar on trade and investment between Thailand and Benelux country in 2019 in Bangkok. And second is coordinating a visiting of Belgium of the EEC delegation in 2019. And third is the coordinating and witnessing a signing of MOU between Thailand's biotech and Belgium bio-based Europe pilot plant to develop bio-based Asia pilot plant in 2020. So these are to name a few, and we will certainly continue to do so. So without further ado, may I give the floor to our distinguished speaker and from Belgium and Thailand, and I wish you all a fruitful discussion and ideas. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kunsirilak. That was good to hear, and we will now continue. We'll continue with our first presenter for today, who is an expert on ASEAN, not only Thailand. It's Mr. Matthijs van der Broek of Further East Consult, who is an expert on socio-economic trends and business developments in Southeast Asia. He has lived himself for 10 years in Thailand and worked amongst others in Vietnam. He will give a broader overview of what the impact of COVID was on the whole of ASEAN and how the different countries have dealt with this and how Thailand has been coping with this situation. I will give the floor to Mr. Van der Broek. 1 second. Can we see Mr. Van der Broek? Yes, I think
it works. Can
yes.
Everybody hear me?
Okay. Yes, very good. Matthijs,
thank you, Steve.
I will control the slides, so just give me...
I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve, for hosting this magnificent webinar. I'm very honored to team up with the Belgian ambassador in Thailand and the deputy ambassador of Thailand in Europe. It's good to talk about COVID, but primarily post-COVID is even more interesting. Like the Belgian ambassador to Thailand already mentioned, there's a lot of joint efforts from Europe, but also within ASEAN to tackle this crisis. And as the ambassador mentioned as well, Southeast Asia, of course, has been quite successful in combating this virus. As you can see on the next slide, you see some figures. Here you see Southeast Asia as a whole, and you see the number of deaths is quite low relatively to what's happening in Europe. Thailand actually now is on 94. One person died yesterday, but 94 casualties is of course very low compared to what we're seeing in Belgium and the rest of Europe. So they've been doing things right. They've been reacting timely and adequately with quarantine measures, by detecting the virus, with contact tracing, having enough face masks to begin with. And of course, as you all know, or most of you know, Europe has been very late in responding adequately, and now we're dealing with the consequences of that. And I hope that Southeast Asia will not get a sort of a relapse, because in Europe now we're progressing with the vaccinations. But I'm happy to see that even Southeast Asia is doing well in that respect too. Then you can mention, why is South Asia so more successful than Europe? I mentioned already timely and adequate government response. Government action is very important. In Europe, we primarily pointed to the people to take action, to keep a distance, to wash hands, but the government lacked in responding timely, and that in Southeast Asia was the other way around. Countries like Thailand, like Singapore, like Vietnam, the government took action, took their responsibility, and that's one of the reasons that it is doing quite well. Maybe on the next slide you see a little bit more of an overview over the response of ASEAN as a whole. Of course, you know, ASEAN is sort of like an EU minus the euro and minus the political component in Brussels. But trade-wise, it's very similar. It's not on the same level yet, but still ASEAN does respond as a union, as a 10-nation union. And they have certain meetings. They have a joint approach, and you see some data sharing, analytics, and of course they've been doing as a region to monitor developments in individual countries and to do whatever they can to guide these individual countries through the crisis. Of course, Singapore has been very successful. It's a very small nation, very highly developed with the health infrastructure and a data sharing infrastructure. But Thailand is doing quite well too. I mean, if you see the numbers in the previous slide, they've been doing quite well. So that means that the recovery process, which is sort of starting right now, will be smoother and shorter than we will see in other parts of the world. A little bit more on the stimulus packages that were handed out in ASEAN. Of course, we had that in Belgium, we had it in other European countries. The government has supported entrepreneurs, has given out a lot of money to guide them, to lead them through the crisis. Entrepreneurs who are about to go bankrupt, whether it's the hospitality sector or other sectors. ASEAN has done the same. ASEAN nations, as you can see in the next slide, you see some of the initiatives that individual countries have taken and have helped individual sectors of individual entrepreneurs even through the crisis. Of course, ASEAN countries and Thailand too has struggled with people losing their jobs, companies going bankrupt, not on the same level as in other parts of the world, but still, of course, the crisis has hit a country like Thailand too. Tourists stay away, business travel is reduced to almost zero, investments are still continuing but on a lower level. So any individual country, also in ASEAN, also in Thailand, any government has taken the responsibility and has supported sectors and entrepreneurs on a financial level, like what happened in Europe. Okay, let's have a further look. Like the ambassador, the Belgian ambassador to Thailand already mentioned, the COVAX facility. It's a very ambitious, very good program, I think, where we share the vaccines to various countries. I think it's a great EU initiative, and it shows that we're in this crisis together. Of course, ASEAN countries have also ordered vaccines themselves from various sources, some from Russia, some from China, some from the United States. So this combination of the COVAX facility and the country approach in ASEAN themselves, I think is very successful. And I hope that 2021, I must say, in summer or the third or fourth quarter, we'll more or less see the end of this crisis, also in ASEAN and in Europe as well, I hope. But the combination of GoVax and the individual buying strategies of the ASEAN nations, I think it will be a very strong combination to get through the crisis. As you see, Thailand, they have vaccines from England, from China, from GoVax. So all in all, vaccination programs will take off. In Indonesia, for example, they've already started vaccinating the 65-year-olds, way ahead of the Netherlands, for example, where we're not even up to the level of the 70 years old. So I think even the progress on that part, on the vaccination part, the vaccination campaigns will roll out quite successfully in the ASEAN nations. Let's have a look at the next slide, please. Yes. This is what has already been administered. Singapore has already almost vaccinated a large part of the population, which is not that difficult geographically and number-wise, but still, they've been doing quite well. I put in a slide of Phuket as an example. May well be the first travel tourism bubble as the 1st of July. That's the ambition. And they have a very significant program to roll out the vaccination campaign on the islands. So I think Thailand has been planning things quite well in earlier stages, but also in this vaccination stage, designating certain groups, prioritizing certain demographics, areas, like tourism areas, for example. And in that respect, we will see the results this summer already in certain areas of Thailand, and later this year, probably in the rest of the country. Yeah. What will happen first? The economy has to be revived, and the first signs are already there. FDI is picking up. Business travel has to be reinstalled. Of course, that will happen first with neighboring countries, Singapore, further away, Japan, South Korea, Australia, probably. They're already basically in the post-COVID area, especially Taiwan. South Korea is a good second. Vietnam is doing quite well. So the business travel, as well as the tourism travel, well, let's focus on the business travel, will pick up soon on a regional level. And of course, Europe is very important for Thailand, for business, for investments, for tourism, all kinds of sectors. But of course, neighboring countries, including China, are of even greater significance to the Thai economy. And those countries are the first to be able to enter Thailand, and Thai business people to travel to those countries. The date of 1st of July is mentioned more and more in the Thai media. I mentioned Phuket as an example, but they hope to be able to open certain areas or to certain countries the 1st of July. I think it's quite ambitious, as we are already in April almost. But still, if you organize it properly, and Thailand can do that, they're able to do that with the right quarantine measures or not quarantine measures, but having vaccinations and corona certificates. It may well succeed the 1st of July for certain designated areas. So that's the first step, and the rest will follow later this year, I'm sure. See? What will happen to the economy? We talked about travel bubbles, we talked about investment, which has been doing okay in certain countries. If you see figures in Vietnam, for example, the first quarter of 2021 has been quite well, actually, as far as investment goes. So we have to pick up where we left. Thailand and the region was doing very well. I think that the data that banks and research institutes publish about Thailand are a little bit too pessimistic. I think the figures of Thailand are in reality more optimistic than these graphs show. Thailand has been hit as other countries in the nations, but I think the recovery process will go as quick as in neighboring countries. So I'm more optimistic than most analytics say or show. I think the 6.8 decline is quite significant. I think it's less than that, and I think the recovery phase in 2021, definitely 2022, will be much quicker. and much higher. We're talking about Thailand as a resilient nation, and that's definitely true. Thailand has proven to be so in many cases in the past, many economic crises and other crises. And the resilience, if any country can be labeled as being resilient, it is Thailand. Of course, the Thai government and the Board of Investment has designated some industries that will do well and are focus areas for this year and the years to come, like the Deputy Ambassador already mentioned. Here are some industries that will are sort of designated to pick up and receive extra focus in the post-COVID era. And as the Deputy Ambassador mentioned, and the Belgian Ambassador to Thailand also, is in the role of pharmaceuticals, for example, in the medical field. Belgium can definitely play a leading role as far as Europe goes in investments in Thailand and regaining the partnerships that they had in the past. So I think maybe I'm too optimistic, but I don't think so. I think it's more realistic to see that the Thailand in particular, it was mentioned already as being a gateway. It has always been a gateway. I lived in Thailand in the 80s and 90s, in the 90s and early 2000s. It was a gateway then, and it has been a gateway ever since. And that's the strength of Thailand. Even when I lived in Vietnam, Vietnamese and the Vietnamese government and the Vietnamese enterprise, they looked up to Thailand. And any meeting of significance was held in Bangkok because of the connectivity, because of the convenience, the infrastructure, the facilities. So Thailand is the Paris of Indochina, has always been, and will continue to do so. So maybe the next slide to sort of wrap it up, my little talk, is this gateway role or this business hub role to the Greater Mekong sub-region, but even to Southeast Asia. Thailand has always had that role since 20, 30 years, and it still has the added advantage up till today. We have, of course, the geopolitical developments that will also benefit Thailand, the China +1 strategy. You can even call it the instead of China policy, where entire businesses opt for another manufacturing base than China, instead of moving part of the manufacturing away from China. That will also benefit Thailand, I must say. But in general, the gateway role that Thailand had will continue to be so. There's no other place as Bangkok to offer this hub position to the neighboring countries. And that will always be the strength. And the post-COVID area in the third or fourth quarter will kick off very positively. And I'm very confident that we will talk in 2022, and we have regained the growth path that we're used to see in Thailand, 3 to 4%, which is quite normal for an advanced economy that Thailand is. So I'm very confident, and I wish all the parties and I'm very success in this journey. And I'm very happy that you're all online today and keep on showing interest and investing in Thailand. And I thank the Deputy Ambassador and the Ambassador and Siep Hoogstaf, the Board of Investment, and the Thailand Board of Investment in general for having me today. Thank you all.
Thank you, Matthijs, for this, well, I think very positive and hopeful message. It's good to hear. We now have a little movie to set the base.
Dear Crisis, we still remember each and every challenge you've thrown our way. Though we know you will never take it easy on us, we just want to thank you. You've reminded us how lucky we are to live on solid and fertile ground. You've proved just how strong and supportive our healthcare system is. And it's you who made us realize that we are the beating heart of ASEAN with unique potential. Our people are not only highly skilled, but willing to adapt and maximize advanced technologies. Thank you again, Crisis, for preparing us even better for the future than ever. Thailand, the land of resilience.
So this was the theme of our event today, and I'm happy now to introduce to you Mrs. Salaya Aksharamat, who is the Director of the Board of Investment Thailand of the Frankfurt office, who is responsible also for the Benelux and as Belgium, to give an update on the BOI policy and how BOI can support Belgian companies with their investments and expansions in Thailand. Khun Salaya, please, and you just tell me to change the slides.
Excellency, and good morning and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor for me to be given this opportunity to speak at this webinar. Today's agenda, I will talking so much. Kunsi, please change the slide. Today's agenda, I will be talking so much about the BOI policy and incentive, and also the BOI services. After my presentation, the BOI Deputy Secretary General will focus more about investment and sourcing opportunity, particularly the opportunity after COVID-19 crisis. Next. Let me start first by telling you a bit about Thailand Board of Investment, or BOI. We are the government agency under the office of the Prime Minister. Our job is to support and facilitate the investor, both existing investor and also the new investor, by we provide comprehensive information and advice on establishing operation in Thailand. We are the coordinator between the foreign business community and other public agency, and our main job is grant investment incentive. We have a scheme which cover both tax incentive and non-tax incentive, and we provide business support services for the investor. Next. Next, please. Okay, next, please. And as you can see on the slide, our major responsibility includes providing tax and non-tax incentive to investment projects. I will not go into detail of each tax incentive, but just to mention that our key incentives, such as corporate income tax exemption or reduction, and duty concession, such as the exemption of import duty on raw material that used to produce for export, and exemption of import duty on machinery that used in the projects. Our non-tax incentives are targeted to facilitate for investors in doing their business in Thailand, such as the right to have 100% foreign share ownership, because in Thailand, in general, foreigners are not allowed to own 100% of the share in some business. But if you are BOI promoted company, whether you are in manufacturing or services, you'll be able to have 100% of the share. Another tax incentive will include the right to own land and facilitation regarding visa and work permit. And we can facilitate companies that would like to bring in expats to work in the promoted projects and so on. Next, please. For corporate income tax incentive that I mentioned, right now we have the package that we are running at the moment based on activity we call activity based. The length of tax exemption would depend on what you do or what kind of you produce or what kind of service you will providing and the level of technology that you will be using. But at the same time, you can obtain additional incentive because there are certain things that we would like people to do, such as R&D activity, supporting to academic or research institution, human resource development, IP licensing, and advanced technology training, and so on. These are called merit-based incentive, which people can obtain additional tax incentive on top of standard package that we are offering at the same time. We also have the area-based incentive, such as the Eastern Economic Corridor or the EEC, because it is the prime area in the country. So we are offering a special incentive for the company that are located in the EEC area on top of the standard package. Next, please. And if you would like to know how many years the tax incentive that you will be granted from the BOI, as you can see on the slides, this is a standard package with the number of corporate income tax exemption depend on activity or product and technology that you will apply for the projects, range from 0 year to 8 years. For example, if you produce such as automation part with high technology, your project will belong to category A1 to A4, which you will get tax incentive range from 3 years to 8 years. But if you produce just simple plastic product or you only provide services, your project will be category in B1 and B2, which you will get only non-tax incentive. And you can check whether your business can be promoted or not from our website. Currently, we have a long list around 200 activities. Next, please. I would like to turn to the last part of my presentation, that is the BOI services. For the BOI, beside the BOI headquarters, we also have the One-Stop Investment Center or OSOS. This is located in the downtown area of the Bangkok. This is the aim to help, especially for the newcomer who want to start business in Thailand, because at the OSOS, we have a representative from several government agencies related to business operation to provide service and advice to the investor. At the OSOS, you can register tax ID, employer ID, and company ID at the same time. We also have one-stop service center for visa and work permit located at the OSOS. This is our facilitation for BOI permitted company with our service within only 3 hours if you submit complete document. Next, please. Next, please. This is also, please back to the last one. Okay, thank you. If you are not interested in setting up business in Thailand, but you would like to work or invest in Thailand, we also provide facilitation called Smart Visa. This is program to intend to attract talent, technologists, investor, executive, and startup to work in Thailand. The Smart Visa is used as a work visa. That means people who receive Smart Visa do not need to get a work permit. We can provide a maximum up to 4 years of visa, longer than normal visa that will get for 2 years. And a lot of privileges that attach to Smart Visa, such as your family can get Smart Visa and can work in Thailand as well. Next, please. Last but not least, the BOI also provide business matching program. This is called the BOI Unit for Industrial and Investment Linkage Development or BILS. Our service include parts. Our service includes part sourcing, technical assistance, and finding partner and joint venture. Especially for part sourcing, we can arrange sourcing event between buyer from overseas and local part manufacturing in Thailand. And all of our services are free of charge. Next, please. This is the contact point for investor. You can contact both at the BOI headquarters in Bangkok and also at the same time zone. You can contact us, the BOI Bangkok. The BOI office in Frankfurt, because we are cover Benelux country. This is all my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Khun Salaya. I know it's a lot of information in a short time, but like Khun Salaya said, we're here to help you. So if there are any questions or if you want to look at your project, how BOI can help, don't hesitate to contact us and we will help you there. Now, we will go on with the next speaker, the keynote speaker for today. And that is Mrs. Sonplin Loimi, the Deputy Secretary General of the Board of Investment Thailand. Ms. Sonklin has a long career within the BOI and has, among others, been director of the Osaka office in Japan. Before her post as Deputy Secretary General, she was the Executive Director for the Industrial Linkage Development Division, BILD, where Kun Salai already talked about, that supports linking Thai and foreign companies with each other for partnership and sourcing. Kun Sonklin, I understand you will have your own. Please, if you can share your screen.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Your Excellency. On behalf of Thailand Board of Investment, I would say thank you once again for all participants to join our webinar today. For my part, I will talk about investment opportunity and sourcing opportunity in Thailand. During the COVID-19, there's some sector of industry that become more important for the world business, which I show you some of them in this slide. For example, medical sector, because there's a shortage of medical supplies and medical products during the COVID-19, and digital services, because we could not go for work. We have to work from home, so digital transformation is very important during this time. And also, kitchen of the world is mean the food industry. Why the food industry is important? Because during COVID-19, there are no production, there are no transportation, so food industry is become more important. But for Thailand, why this sector become opportunity? Because during COVID-19, Thailand is doing well. We have a good performance to control the pandemic of COVID-19. So the medical services of Thailand is one of the best in the world. So if there are investment in this sector in Thailand, that should be a good opportunity. And for the food industry, why Thailand has offered a good opportunity for the investor? Because we have a lot of raw materials for the food industry. So if it comes to invest in Thailand, there will be a high opportunity. For digital industry also, the Thai government, has put it as a priority policies to optimize the government and delivery the citizen services with digital transformation. So that is why the high opportunity. And during COVID-19, we also issued a new measure for investment promotion in many sectors. But the main one is medical sector. We have announced the promotion policies for medical sector during COVID-19 with special incentive. Also, during COVID-19, we feel that to enhance the competitiveness of the company that has the operation in Thailand, we stimulate them to utilize the automation and digital services for their operation in order that they can improve their productivity to replace the workers that could not go to work, could not go for the production. And we give them the additional incentive if they utilize this kind of automation and digital services. And the other one of the policies of the Thai government to stimulate investment is the Eastern Economic Corridor, which I show on the right-hand side on this slide. This is important because actually this program is implementing by the Thai government before the COVID-19. But after the COVID-19, we have to speed up this policy, this project, because we think that after the COVID-19 and the recovery of COVID-19, many investors may be looking for a new location for their investment to reduce the list of business production. So Thailand should implementing the Eastern Economic Corridor faster than before, because we have to we need to be ready to welcome the advanced technology investment in this area. And what is the opportunity in the Eastern Economic Corridor? I divided into 4 phases of the opportunity in Eastern Economic Corridor. Since the first and second phase of development, I think this one is, sorry. Okay. The first and the second phase of Eastern Economic Corridor development, it should be the construction of infrastructure like industrial estate and real estate, and other infrastructure in terms of land, airport, and deep sea port. But for the third phase, when the infrastructure is ready, I think it's time for production, for industry to be there. So the potential industry should be the opportunity, the great opportunity for investment, like medical sector, biotechnology, or the medical tourism and the food industry. Besides the investment opportunity, I think during COVID-19, Thailand can recover earlier than many parts of the world. So the sourcing of Thailand, the sourcing part from Thailand should be one of the opportunity. And during 2020, the BOI has done a survey, of the company that has the operation in Thailand. And we found that the company answer is they continue investment in Thailand because of the sufficient raw materials and parts in Thailand. So Thailand should be a good destination for sourcing. And the JETRO survey is, JETRO from Japan has a survey that they have done a survey amongst the Japanese company that has the operation in Thailand. The company answer is 60% can have the local content or the part sourcing in Thailand, with the cost that compared to Japan is, even Thailand is not the lowest, but it's not the highest. So Thailand is in between, the lowest and the highest. So it's mean, the cost in Thailand is reasonable. For digital industry opportunity investment, for facility, Thailand has implementing a lot of projects to build the infrastructure to respond to the development of the industry. For example, the network, bandwidth network, and the submarine cable and digital park. For the demand side, from this slide, you will see that 91 million people in Thailand, has the mobile phone, but the total population of Thailand is about 68 million. So that's mean one person can have more than one mobile phone, and more than 70% of the population, has used the internet and used the social media. So this is a good opportunity in terms of demand. And this slide show, you see this one is the statistic of the consumption of digital services in Thailand. You can see that the average age of the group that has the highest consumption of digital services is below 25 years old. This means the opportunity in this sector is, last long, and the growth will be more and more because the e-commerce in Thailand, the company that has the e-commerce business in Thailand has a growth of more than 100% that we can show on the right-hand side of this slide. For the advanced manufacturing, this sector before COVID-19 actually is become more important because of the disruption of technology. But after COVID-19, it's become more and more important. But for Thailand, why IoT or cloud or robotic and automation is become more important? Because Thai government policy. We have the policy of Thailand 4.0 or Industrial 4.0 that focusing on innovation-driven economy. So this has to be, utilize those advanced manufacturing or advanced technology that I mentioned. So there's a high opportunity because the government is supporting the Thai company to utilize this industry. For medical industry, why it is a high opportunity? As I mentioned earlier, that because of the medical services in Thailand show a good performance during the COVID-19. But for production, we have a well-established supply chain of raw material in Thailand. For example, medical gloves, syringe and mask. And for trading part, Thailand, if comparing to other ASEAN countries, Thailand is the largest importer and exporter of medical device. So it means, there's a good opportunity for production and trading in Thailand. And we have, about 22 international medical device company. It is a big company that can be your customer if you produce a part or raw material for them. For the government support is the most important for medical sector. For Thailand, it's a high priority of the government to support the medical industry, both in manufacturing and service sector. In the service sector, the Thai government and the BOI also has a policies to promote the clinical research, the senior hospital services, the clinical research center, and international procurement office. This is all the one that support the medical services in Thailand and get special incentive. This is all the ecosystem of the medical sector that can show you the high opportunity if you invest in Thailand. And this you show on the right hand side upper part is the number of company that has operation in Thailand. So you will see the room of investment because there are not much, manufacturing of medical device in Thailand. But the highest or the high potential will be on, the one that utilize the raw material in Thailand. For example, the rubber part or the part that made of rubber, because Thailand is the major part or major player that can produce latex. Or if you utilize the petrochemical as a raw material, Thailand also can be the part, the center, because we are the center of petrochemical production in Thailand. And if you are producing the part that utilize this raw material, so it should be a good opportunity to be here, invest in Thailand. The last one is the BCG, as many people already mentioned earlier that the BCG is one of the, our policies of the Thai government, because after the COVID-19, we found that we have to be sustainable and we have to stand on our leg, and the competitiveness is very important, and we should optimize our raw material. So this is why we focus on the BCG as the economic model of Thailand to, speed up our economic growth. And this is the evidence that show that, okay, Thailand is moving for the green industry. Why? You see, the green industry certificate is the number of company that get the certificate of green industry is increasing every year. For alternative energy consumption also increasing. It shows that Thailand is moving, for green industry. This is one of the part of BCG. For the waste management, also Thailand has many policy, many ministry of Thailand has a policy to reduce the waste in Thailand. This is one of the example that the cabinet has approved, to reduce 50% of Thailand plastic waste in 2027. So it shows, the intention of the Thai government to be focused on the circular economy. In my conclusion, I would say that, the industry or opportunity that I mentioned, earlier, you may think about the market if you invest in Thailand. But I would say that if you want to invest in Thailand, don't think about only the Thailand market. You have to think about ASEAN market. Why ASEAN market? Because it's the fifth largest economy in the world with the population is more than 6 billion people. And we also have the free trade agreement with many countries, with many regions that can facilitate you to access to those markets. So this is all the opportunity in Thailand. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kun Songklin. It's good to see this broad overview of opportunities there are in Thailand. So I will go now. Very well. I will go to our next speaker, our last Thai speaker, before we turn to the company forum. We're very lucky to have this speaker today. I would welcome Mr. Vatit Chokwatana. He is the Vice Chairman of the Federation of Thai Industries. The Federation of Thai Industries is an organization that brings together industrial leaders to promote Thailand's economic development. It helps promote industrial enterprises from all industries, and it works with the government in setting up national policies to mobilize Thai industries to reach international markets. We're very keen to hear how the Thai industry is responding to COVID and what opportunities you see for foreign business in Thailand. Kun Vatit, please, and you can tell me when I have to go to the next slide.
Hi, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. So, next slide, please. Very briefly from Federation of Thai Industry, we'll go for overview of Thailand economic outlook, how business can prepare for the future. Top industries set to boom in post-COVID-19, 12 targeted S-curve industry in EEC, recovery plan of FTI in post-COVID-19. Next slide, please. Actually, many of the material has been very well covered by the previous speaker, so I will be very brief. In 2020, as everybody knows, Thai economy decreased by 6.1% or 6.8% presented by the other speaker, compared with an expansion of 2.3% in previous year. Thai economy was affected by COVID-19 pandemic, export of goods, private consumption, investment contracted by 6.6%, 1% and 4.8% respectively. On the other hand, government consumption expenditure and public investment expand by 0.8% and 5.7% respectively. Industry like agriculture, forestry production, fishery sector, manufacturing sector, accommodation and food services sector, transport and storage services sector will decline. Let's look at export on next slide. 2020 Thai export contracted 6% to 231 billion US dollar, while import dropped 12.4% to 207 billion US dollar, resulting in trade surplus of 24.5 billion US dollar. Agriculture and agro-industrial products contract by 3.5%. Industrial products contract by 5.6%. Let's look at next slide for how business can prepare for the future. During the crisis, many of the members of Federation of Thai Industry has contacted us, and we check with them how they do things, and we prepared in this four-dimensional lesson learned from COVID-19. The first will be on business. To have financial liquidity, cash flow, business cost reduction is very important. Maintaining relationship with customers, supply chain partners, and government agency also. In terms of organization, business continuity plan or BCP will be in effect after the long preparation for that. Adaptive of relevant working model in the time of crisis, and also enterprise data management. Let me elaborate on this. During the crisis, people cannot come to work, or people might tested positive for COVID. We have to adapt every day and prepare for the crisis that will happen to our organization. So enterprise data management also very important, as you as we already learned that the historical data is meaningless in terms of making forecasts and everything, because we don't know when there's going to be another lockdown. We don't know when there's going to be another government promotion activities, which this will affect our forecast. So enterprise data management is very, very important. In terms of people and technology, employee management system during the crisis, and professional development program on technology. See, in this aspect, people in Thailand now are very familiar with many new technology, as I think as the same as many people all over the world, like video conference and many other technology that have to come to use during the pandemic. Many companies have found out that they still have, many paper process that need to be digitalized. So it had been done, I think. Many people are already changed. So in the third dimension of people and technology, I think we better well prepare for the next crisis, or even it will be enhancing our doing business in the future also. Leadership is also very important. Good leadership should be flexible and making quick and thorough decision. Crisis management with scenario planning is also very important. We don't know what's going to happen next. So we have to make a scenario planning. If there is a second lockdown, if there is a third lockdown, if the government promotion affect our consumer in this way or in that way, we have to prepare. Should we produce that, or we should not produce something? So in 2020 is a year of analyzing and make scenario. Okay, so lastly will be business modification and new opportunities. Many companies found new opportunity during the crisis, and they have to modify their business in order to survive or expand. Next slide, please. Federation of Thai Industry has complied the opinions from various sources to provide policy suggestion and private sector recommendations. First, we providing assistance to mitigate the crisis, such as reduce the cost of business, promote employment and job education, promote international virtual business matching events, increase businesses' financial liquidity through supportive measure, promote e-commerce, issue relief package for freelancers and informal workers. Secondly, post-crisis economic recovery and economic restructuring. Thirdly, capacity building for business, government and people to prepare for future crises. And fourth, recommendation for SMEs in dealing with COVID-19 pandemic and future crisis. Next, please. So top industry is set to boom in post-COVID-19, which will be similar to the previous speaker, especially representative from BOI. First is digital industry. COVID-19 outbreak accelerate digitalize in trade and service. Not only that, I think consumers are really familiar with digitalized because a government promotion, you used to use smartphone to get the benefit. So mass majority of the people are familiar with technology now. So digital industry is very promising. Secondly, healthcare industry. People are turning to healthcare because of concern of COVID-19. Its positive effect in development of industry relating to health, which I already know from the previous speaker that Belgium is very good, have a very good technology about this, okay? Medical supply and industry. The success of a pandemic management is an opportunity for the development of branded medical device in Thailand. Fourth, logistic industry. It will play an important role in facilitating the shipment of goods, both the online and retail markets. and fifth, robotics industry, able to enhance potential in various fields, promote development to serve people in the country and abroad in the future. And lastly, bioeconomy industry, an industry that enhance the value added of the agricultural sector of Thailand. It covers food and supplemental, biofuel, medical, and herbal industry. Next, please. And this is 12 target S-curve industry in EEZ. It's officially, this is a target industry in EEZ. 12 of them, many speakers had already included some of them, okay? So I'll go through that again. Next generation automotive is one. Intelligent electronics, advanced agriculture and biotechnology, food for the future, high value and medical tourism, automation and robotics, aviation and logistics, medical and comprehensive healthcare, biofuel and biochemical, digital, defense industry, and lastly, education and human resource development. This will be the recovery plan of FTI in post-COVID-19. First is to promote Thailand products through the Made in Thailand project, because the COVID-19 pandemic has made many countries look to make their supply chain self-reliant to reduce import. And secondly, to develop industry supply chain from upstream to downstream to reduce reliance on overseas import, emphasizing on resilient supply chain. And third, to promote food and agriculture technology in order to create value added of products. My last slide will talk about, Martin had talked earlier that Thailand is in the middle of Greater Mekong sub-region, as you could see in the map. So Thailand's strategic location is the heart of ASEAN, connecting with the fast-growing CLMV. CLMV is Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Malaysia, and Vietnam. Investment and business expansion attract to Thailand because of this. Additionally, has the infrastructure required to support investment. Thailand has the best infrastructure in especially roadway, highway is very good. So many people find out that even though logistic cost is still high by road, but we are also moving to multimodal in the future, like rail and water. As of 2020, Thailand border trade account for nearly 50% of all bilateral trade between Thailand and neighboring countries, Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, and Malaysia. Due to COVID-19, many foreign investors are considering relocate production base to Thailand in order to take advantage of Thailand's strategic location and facilitate logistics. So this is my last slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kunvatit. It's very good to get an insight from the Thai companies and how they respond to COVID and the opportunities you see there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, BOI Thailand works very close together with also, of course, the Belgian network. And as you have seen in the presentations before, BOI can offer you information, introductions, and support from the Thai side. But there's also a lot of support available from the Belgian federal, regional governments and from other organizations. We therefore always have worked and will work together closely with the Belgian network in Thailand and in Belgium, Flanders Investment and Trade, AWEX, Hub Brussels, the VOCAS, and etc. We have regular contact with the representatives of these organizations in Bangkok, Peter Christians and Nessa Belali, and we recommend you to take contact with them when you are investigating the Thai market for your business. For today, we're very happy to have participating another important Belgian organization in Bangkok that is there to help Belgian companies with their businesses in Thailand. Philip Coates, the executive director of Beluthai, the Belgian-Luxembourg Thai Chamber of Commerce, will lead a company forum now with 4 Belgian companies that are already operating in Thailand. Katoenatie, Jean Goldsmith International, the Ster Group, and Sudal. Philip, I will give you the screen.
That should work. A very good morning and afternoon to you. My name is Philip Coates, as Siep mentioned. I'm delighted to be part of this Zoom event today, and I would like to thank the BOI and Siep Hoekstra to give us the opportunity to talk to you. Allow me, before we go into the program with the 4 companies, to briefly present to you who Beluthai is. It's the Chamber of Commerce representing Belgium and Luxembourg in Thailand, founded in 1992, so 29 years ago. We have the pleasure of celebrating our 30th anniversary next year. Today, we count some 89 member companies. Before COVID, we were over 100. And we are convinced that once we are through this unfortunate period, we will build it up very soon again and even expand. Our mission is to develop strong business relationships between Belgium, Luxembourg, and Thailand. We assist our members with all kinds of questions. Our focus is on business development, on networking, on events, in general, on letting Belgium shine in Thailand. We also help Belgian companies sourcing products in Thailand. We work closely together with the BOI, with the Board of Trade, with the FTI, and with the Joint Foreign Chambers of Commerce in Thailand. Since the end of last year, the Belu Chambers in Southeast Asia have created an inter-Asian Belu Chambers network, regrouping 11 countries. Joint webinars are being organized with top-class speakers, including in the coming webinars, His Excellency Minister van Petegem, Minister of Finance of the Federal Government in Belgium, Her Excellency Minister Sophie Wilmès, whom we saw in a video a little earlier, and Minister Fayot, the Economy Minister of Luxembourg. We also have the pleasure in one of our webinars to welcome Madame Ilham Kadri, CEO of Solvay, and Mr. Thierry Geerts, CEO of Google Belgium. These forums are open to everyone, so they will be communicated through our channels, and they are open for all people. So, coming to the topic, no need to repeat that we are living in an unprecedented time. But difficult times create challenges and opportunities. We've heard that from all the speakers before. Within our group of members, we have companies who are doing better in this pandemic period. People active in home improvement, people producing garden furniture. In the bioeconomy, we hear from them that they are doing better. We have companies doing a status quo, active in packaging and in food, for example. And unfortunately, some are suffering, mainly in hospitality, in tourism, and in the exhibition sector. But as Matthijs van den Broek, earlier speaker, said, Thailand is bouncing back, and we are convinced that in Q3, Q4 of this year, we will see the first improvements and first changes. But let's now not wait any longer and go to our 4 speakers. Siep already mentioned Anton Kolpaat, CEO of Katoenatie, Thibaut Jacquemer, Managing Director of the Ster, Emmanuel de Smet, Regional Director of Southeast Asia and India for Sudal, and Boris Goevens, Managing Director for JGI Thailand. So without any further waiting, I think we will first go to Anton, and there's a little video of your company introducing yourself. Can we have the video?
We're trying to pick it up from YouTube.
From 1998, Katunasi, headquartered out of Belgium, came into Thailand, focused on providing logistic and engineering services for chemicals and petrochemicals. We diversified into automotive and consumer goods market, and since recently also started offering our engineering services in the Asian area. Our terminals, currently located in the Eastern Economic Corridor, have been benefiting the area for the last 2 decades. Together with the help here in Thailand of the BOI, we were able to establish a good bridgehead for this area. We developed now 5 different terminals in the Rayong province. The strength of being in Thailand is our people. Our slogan as a company is "Our people make the difference." Where before it maybe sufficed to train people to drive a forklift, now people need to understand how to work with a tablet, need to understand how to work with new technology. It's very important that we engage our Thai staff as well in this journey in a more digitized environment. To see how we handled the coronavirus, it's important to know how we are structured as a company. Working for logistics, it's all about reliability. We were able to be resilient and we were able to keep the business going. Our team adapted quick. One of the strengths of the Thai people is that they are not giving in and they're facing each challenge, and they do that with a smile. We can see that again in this situation as well. Katunasi is a very ambitious company. We will, of course, not stop investing in Thailand. We will further diversify in other businesses as well. And we will support that growth that will happen in the Eastern Economic Corridor with new investments and hopefully new locations at the same time.
Thank you, Anton. May I now invite our next speaker to present his company? The slides, see?
You have
Thibaut.
to unmute yourself. Thibaut?
So, yes, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and good afternoon. And thank you to give me the opportunity to introduce, to present some update about Dester business. My name is Thibaut Jacquemer. I am the Managing Director of Dester Thailand since 2013. Dester business, is designing, manufacturing, and distributing tableware for airlines, as well as food packaging products. The product range for airline is going from the simple snack setup to the complete dining setup, with, for example, the drinking cups, the napkins, the condiment sachet, and the aluminum trays for the hot meals on board, for example. You are all very familiar with the product on the slide on the screen, which are examples of Dester design and made products. The food, however, is not produced by Dester, but by our mother company, Get Group, which is the world leader in airline catering. To put it simple, Dester supplies nearly all major airlines for their complete or partial dining setups. To name a few of the most relevant airlines for the audience here, for example, Thai Airways is buying from Dester, but also KLM, Lufthansa, British Airways, but also airlines like Emirates and Qatar. And to be back to Asia also, Singapore Airlines, Cathay Pacific, and Korean Airlines. Dester is actually a leader in that market. Next slide, please. Regarding food service, Dester produces drinking cups, cutleries, napkins, and also all types of individual packaging for food and meals. Our customers in that market are food service chains and also the food industry. Big names here also are customers such as Dooney, McDonald's, Subway. Next slide, please. Dester, which is an early century with around 700 employees globally now, is headquartered near Antwerp and has 3 factories worldwide, including Thailand, and several sales and sourcing offices across the globe. Our manufacturing unit in Thailand started in 1996 under BOI, of course, and is located in Prachinburi province and was focusing until recently on airlines market. From Thailand, we are exporting 95% of the production to all major airlines in APAC, to the west coast of the US, and to the Middle East. Currently in Thailand, we employ 280 employees, which is 400 short than a year ago when we had 780 employees. It was, of course, before the COVID struck the world and our industry. Our turnover significantly dropped also for the group from $270 million to $100 million last year. And from the Thai factory, we dropped from $40 million to $12 million last year. That concludes the brief presentation for the Dester in Thailand. Thank you.
Thank you, Thibaut. I guess the next speaker is Manu de Smet from Sudal.
No, I think it was GGI who was first.
Okay, JGI, then it's Boris Goerens from JGI, next to introduce the company.
Good morning. My name is Boris. I'm the general manager of JGI in Thailand. It's a sustainable company specialized in the refining of non-ferrous metals through innovative and environmental friendly processes. As you can see in the next slide, we are part of a group, Silox, which has companies all over the world, from France to UK, India, Canada. But more specifically, for the group JGI, it was founded 60 years ago in Brussels by Mr. Jean Goldschmidt on a green and sustainable vision that we keep alive today. Indeed, our group recognized that to remain competitive and to preserve our environment, natural resources should be used in the most efficient way and without depleting the planet resources, like it was highlighted by Her Excellency Miss Sybille de Cartier, as well as Kun Songklin in their previous presentations. The next slide, please. So as you can see on this worldwide map, we are active on a worldwide basis from North America, Latin America, Europe, Asia, and Oceania. We are less present in Africa and Middle East. Next slide, please. So just a brief word about our company in Belgium. So JGI Hydrometal was created in 1960, and we are recycling in our factory around 75,000 tons of different type of raw materials. It's not the main subject today, so I will jump directly to the journey that JGI had in Asia. Next slide, please. So our journey in Asia, in the early 2000 years, the business was growing fast for our group in Asia, and we decided to explore possible investment opportunities in Asia. And therefore, we set up representative offices, one in Shanghai, China, and I moved 10 years ago to Bangkok to set up the one here. More recently, one of the possible opportunities we had materialized, and with the precious support of the Board of Investment, both in Frankfurt as well as in Bangkok, as well as Mr. Sybille Straat in Belgium, we incorporated our limited company here in Thailand. I would like also to acknowledge the kind support we received from our dear Chamber of Commerce, and in particular, Dr. Sutam and Philip Coates. Next slide, please. So our original target was to start already last year, but with the COVID, we had some delays. But I'm pleased to advise that the production started here in Thailand earlier this year. In terms of location, we are in Chachoengsao, which is in the Eastern Economical Corridor, which has a very good location because we are about a 1 hour drive from both the ports of Lam Chabang and Bangkok. We are also about 30 minutes away from the airport, the international one of Suvarnabhumi. The main product we have here in Thailand is the production of tin metal, which is used in a lot of different new technologies, as well as alloys of lead and antimony that are also very important elements for the production of batteries for the automotive industry. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Boris. And then, of course, last but not least is Manu de Smet from Sudal.
Good morning, Belgium. Good afternoon, Thailand. Let me introduce Sudal. Sudal is a Belgian family business into sealants, adhesives, and polyurethane foams. You can go to the next slide, and then to the next. So here you can see some of our products. This is our professional range of sealants and adhesives. And on the next slide, you can see some of our retail products that we have launched in many different countries. So Sudal was founded in 1966 by Mr. Vic Swartz. Next slide, please. And 55 years later, we are a 911 million euro company with an average growth the last 10 years of 10%. We have 3,500, more than 3,500 people working for the group and 22 production sites across the globe, with 4 of them in Asia. In Thailand, we opened our office a couple of years ago. We are now 4 or 5 years into the market. As of now, it's with a trading office and launched the Sudal branded products in 2017 into the Thai markets. Next slide. We have actually 70 sales offices across the globe and more than 20 production units, as you can see. And our goal is to make the world red. And I think that the map is quite similar to Boris' map. It's red instead of green, but we Middle East and Africa, there are still some, let's say, opportunities for us. And also in Asia, we are still looking at further expansion in some of the ASEAN countries and Japan in the near future. Yes, the next slide. So Sudal is basically selling in 3 market segments, which is the professional construction, the do-it-yourself or retail, and industrial segments. And in Thailand, we started our journey in the professional construction segment. In the meantime, we have a team of around 15 people and a turnover around 4 million euro. We started industrial applications and sales in 2019. And during the COVID year, we launched ourselves also into the retail segments. Unfortunately, with some delays due to COVID, but at the end, in 2020, we were able to realize a growth of 30% in Thailand last year, which was below our expectation level, but we were nevertheless still happy to have a growth. As a group in general, we had 2% growth in 2020, which was quite exceptional with the COVID year, but we were very lucky that the retail business for construction materials, especially in Europe, has been booming because people were spending a lot of time at home and saw a lot of cracks and gaps in their houses and tried to repair them. As we are still very dependent on Europe, I believe more than 70% of our turnover still comes from Europe. That has helped us to still realize a growth, because many countries across the globe, in South America or in Asia, for example, India, due to long lockdowns, we were not able to realize any growth. We even decreased our business in some countries. But because of the diversification geographically and also from a market segment point of view, we were able to minimize, to still realize some growth. Next slide. We are focused on 3 pillars moving forward. It's on energy, ecological solutions, and packaging. in energy. So many of our products contribute to energy saving. We are working on more sustainable products moving forward, and we try to minimize the packaging or to work more and more with recycled materials for our packaging. And that's it from my side.
So thank you, Manu. Some of you have already partially answered the next question. And the next question being is the impact of COVID-19 on your business, both in Thailand and internationally. I will go back to Anton first. How did Katunasi react to the situation?
I think, as hopefully most of you know, we are a global company active in various segments and sectors, and we saw certainly a dual year last year. While we acted quickly, we obviously are in the hands of our clients and in the market of our clients. So initially we saw a very quick stack up of products. Products started to completely come to a standstill. Production was halted or limited. So in the first half of last year, the first 6-7 months, inventories were high, activities were rather low, and then the second half of the year we actually saw a complete flip side of that, where many of our customers started to move product again, certainly within the petrochemical and chemical and specialty chemical sectors, and were very busy shipping products to China at that moment, or other sectors where consumer goods and other items that, as what Manu already said, were either being served in home appliances, construction, and so China was really soaking up these materials, and inventories quickly were being reduced. While then, at the other hand, our colleagues in the business unit consumer goods in Europe were flooded with a lot of these materials that were then produced by China or other countries in this area, and were shipped towards Europe or America, where they had it to be handled. So for us last year, certainly two clear, distinct, I would say, movements, where overall I think we came out certainly on the good end of the equation.
Thank you. And Boris, you are in your first year of production in Thailand.
Correct. I would say that for last year we were mainly impacted by the fact that we had delays in being able to start the operations. Originally, we received the equipment for the factory in March, just at the time the COVID was biting hard all over the world. So from one hand, we are really grateful to the BOI, because thanks to their benefits, the import of all the equipment went very smoothly without having to pay any import duties. But then they let the equipment lay down on the floor of the factory for 6 months because of the lockdown. As we have seen from the previous speaker, Thailand did a very good job in keeping the COVID away from the country. But obviously it delayed the possibility to have people coming to the country. So we could only get our engineers by the end of the year to come and assemble the equipment. And again, the fact to have the BOI privileges, all the procedure in being granted the visa, the work permit, were much faster than if you are not. So once more, thanks for the BOI. Now in terms for the group, globally, we had a slowdown in March, April, but we were back at 100% of the production in Belgium by June. And in the end, for overall for the year, we'll finish slightly lower than the budget, but we can really not complain.
Thank you. Thibaut, you explained already in your opening that, of course, because of the airline industry situation, it sincerely impacted your business. But did you look into diversification into other products?
Yes, we did a little bit by diversifying into more in the food industry, but it's a market which is already quite packed in Thailand with a lot of plastic injection. We even started to manufacture a mouth mask for the local market, but we were prevented from exporting them to outside of Thailand because of government measures. So that was not enough to buffer the huge impact that we had, because as you can imagine, exactly 1 year ago, it was like a lightning falling on our industry, because all our orders were all canceled within a week when the airline stopped to fly. It was a year ago, and it was something never seen before, I think, in any kind of industry, where you have to, all the orders vanishing. It means they were canceled, postponed, or put on hold, and they are still, as of today, 1 year later.
Yeah, I see. And Manu, and you also partially answered the question already in your opening remarks, but any specifics on the impact on your business?
Yeah, so I mean, as I mentioned, we were lucky with the retail segment, which is still booming, which is still because of the diversification of our business. So that has helped us. But looking at the future, I guess that will be your next question.
Yes.
Okay, so I leave that for later. But so no.
You can go into the topic if you like now. You can be the first one to go into the future.
So I mean, the demand is still very high from our side, but we have some big challenges in front of us. I mean, as the whole industry, the chemical industry, and that is availability of raw materials, and with a serious price increase happening in many raw materials, and because of that, shortages which are starting to happen first from the Asian side, but now also moving towards Europe. Additional to that, we also see a huge increase, which I think all of you are aware of, on the transportation costs and the availability of containers, which is really impacting on our business on many different angles. So this is the challenges that we have in front of us. But okay, it's not the first time we are facing challenges, so we remain positive, but it's not going to be an easy post-COVID year for sure, and COVID is still not over, of course.
Thank you. And Anton, how do you see the future? How's it going to happen in the coming year for you?
Maybe I didn't highlight really what the crisis meant for Thailand or for the Thai operations. It generally was a little bit what I was explaining on the global level. We also saw on that local level or regional level, and indeed today, as Manu is saying, we see that need from the supply chain to ship very quickly, and the shortage that we have in containers is really very remarkable, which puts a lot of pressure on our current operation and organization. It means overtime, missed shipments, late shipments. So it's a lot of demand. So it again will ask from our Thai staff a lot of resilience. And as I said in the video already, I think that's really what set Thailand apart as well. I think we really can rely on that on our Thai staff, and they are basically really incredible and proud to continue to do that. While before it was focused on cost, focused on okay, how can we limit the impact? They now are again stretching themselves to make sure that our customers and the needs of our customers are being met, and that will be at least for the next six to 9 months at least. I see these irregular demands and high throughputs and changes. After that, I think the focus should come back onto some of the subjects which were already mentioned, is going for that sustainable future, see how we can focus more on making sure that we work on that circular economy, trying to also here serve the recycling industry, trying to serve the greener petrochemicals, the bioplastics, which are heavily promoted also by the BOI. So there, for us, we certainly see a lot of future, and we will certainly continue to invest as well in these sectors, as looking for other sectors that were mentioned before, the 12 sectors, which means agro-industry, automation, that obviously have shown and has been shown that over the last couple of months how important that is, and how important it is to continue to roll out all the tools that we have at hand. And that will not stop. That certainly will not stop. But we will have to continue to invest in that digitalization as well, and we will do that. And so there, at the other hand, again, we will come back to our people. As our slogan says, our people will make the difference. Again, they will have to be resilient and start to learn to work with these tools and adapt quickly on these new requirements as well.
Thank you, Anton. Thibaut, seems from all our participants today, your company unfortunately has been suffering the most. So, what is for you? Where do you see the opportunity to get out of the situation?
Yes, absolutely. But the news, the updates from this are much more dramatic than the others. But we are lucky somehow that we have a strong shareholder who is able to support us to pass this difficult time, and also to still provide investment. Because indeed, all airlines are already thinking for the after COVID, and they are all redesigning their service on board. And our strength, investment, and expertise make that we are maybe stronger than our competitors. However, we are still running now at only 20% of our capacities, and it would be very good if we are at the end of this year at around 50%. So we are in the meantime continuing to push and invest into the non-aviation business, as mentioned earlier, with the food service. And also to continue the development into sustainable products for both airline and food service. This is something that already started before COVID. That was already on the agenda of many companies. It was more or less on hold a little bit last year, but it's coming very strong into the demand of our customer. So the traditional plastic range is going to be replaced very soon by 3 types of product. The reusable product that can be washed and reused several times instead of being thrown away. The recyclable product that can be taken away in some facilities, like for example for metallic today, or a compostable product. This is something that we are heavily invested. New technologies, some plastic bans are already effective and are being rolled out for Thailand, but also for all our customers worldwide. And that's going to be high on our agenda and our developments. I will just finish by saying that I am very positive regarding Thailand after COVID, as it was already raised by many speakers, because of the quality of infrastructure. We are also located near the Eastern Economic Corridor, and I can say that the investment that I'm seeing are tremendous and are very impressive. And also the human quality of the Thais are extraordinary, and this is very key for all the success of every company or every industry who come to settle in Thailand. So I will finish by saying welcome to Thailand.
Thank you, Thibaut. And Boris, very briefly, what is your view on the future? Because we are running out of time. So very brief.
For us, so we keep having a robust demand for the product in Thailand. Like I mentioned, is tin, and is mainly linked to the IT industry, electronic industry. And I would say those industries have not been affected so badly by the COVID than others. And actually, there were also even increasing demand for so many people working from home, requiring more laptops and so on. So that industry is expected to grow by 7% next year. Well, this year actually. And regarding the leather alloys we are producing, those are mainly going for the automotive industry, and it's also an industry that is expected to grow by about 10% next year. So we are relatively bullish about the future.
Thank you. So, Siep, I'm going to hand it back to you. Thank you all panelists for participating today. And well, it's very encouraging to hear that being in Thailand is helping you with your business, because as you mentioned, Thibaut, the infrastructure and the resilience of the people Also, I hear that continuously from all our member companies, is that, you know, the way the government has handled the pandemic and the way business could, you know, continue to function quasi-normally has really been a limitation on the suffering. So, Siep, back to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Philippe, of course, and thank you all the companies for giving their view. Yes. The last part now, we're at the end of this year's Thai-Belgian Business Forum. And it's clear that despite COVID, and for some people even because of COVID, there are still new opportunities that are opening up. Unfortunately, it is not yet possible to travel to Thailand or from Thailand to Belgium or Belgium to Thailand unrestricted, but we hope that the post-COVID era will arrive soon and that we will be able to rebuild our current relationships and build new ones and grow our mutual business. Please note that we, BOI Thailand, are there to support you when you are considering investing in Thailand or expanding your current activity. We can also help you with sourcing and finding new partners and suppliers. For that, I would like to point you also to a special event that is coming up from 12 to 15 May. The Subcon Fair will be held again in Bangkok, where we bring Thai companies together with foreign buyers and partners. We invite companies from Europe to a virtual matchmaking program, free of charge. And of course, when you are already located in Thailand, you can visit Subcon and get the same support. In case you're interested in this, please contact us and we'll make everything ready for you. Now, if there are any questions that were sent during the webinar, and we've seen a few, they will be answered and we will get back to you. But of course, for everybody, for any information, you can always contact BOI, either in Bangkok, either at the Frankfurt office, or directly here in Brussels through me. You find the contact details on this slide. So I think this brings us to the end of the day. Again, I would like to especially thank all the speakers for their contribution to this event. And now all that's left to me is to thank you for attending this webinar. We hope to see you back soon, in person, hopefully, and otherwise it will be virtual again. Thank you, Kap Kum Kap, and see you again. Bye-bye.